Hello friends, now we are going to revise the depreciation and amortization. First of all, we are going to see the meaning. What do we mean by depreciation and what do we mean by amortization? Depreciation represent systematic allocation of the depreciable value of an item of PPE over its useful life, while amortization represents systematic allocation of depreciable amount of an intangible asset over its useful life. Depreciation deals with the fixed asset, amortization deals with the intangible asset. You should keep in mind. It's very important for correct and incorrect from your exam point of view, right? So you need to be alert whether this definition is given for fixed asset or intangible asset. You need to be alert. In May 2022 examination have been asked, and same examination can be expected in further examination also. So depreciation represents systematic allocation of the depreciable value of an item of PPE over its useful life, while amortization represents systematic allocation of depreciable amount of an intangible asset over its useful life. How you are going to verify the depreciation and amortization expense? You need to understand this point very briefly. Let's revise each point in very briefly. Obtain an understanding of entity accounting policy. You need to understand the entity accounting policy, how it is going to deal with depreciation, whether it is going to charge like SLM basis or WDB basis. So you need to understand entity accounting policy. Then you need to ensure the company policy for charging depreciation and amortization is as per relevant provision for Companies Act applicable accounting standard. Accounting standard 10 deals with depreciation PPE. There you are going to see how it has been calculated on charging depreciation, and accounting standard 26 deals with the intangible asset, and there you can also see how amortization is charged on the intangible asset. Then accounting policy have been applied consistently year on year basis. In any change in the accounting policy have been adequately disclosed, like SLM basis to WDB. If there is change in the accounting policy, then proper disclosure have been noted or not. This point is very important for while verifying the fixed asset and intangible asset. Whether the depreciation have been calculated after making adjustment of residual value from the cost of asset, like cost of asset minus WDB, the remaining amount comes the value of the asset. So you need to verify that depreciation have been calculated after making adjustment of residual value from the cost of asset or not. Whether depreciation and amortization charges are valid, 10% or 15% charge, whatever charges have been calculated, that are valid or invalid. You need to verify it also. Whether depreciation and amortization charges are accurately calculated and recorded. Whether depreciation and amortization charges are accurately calculated or recorded. Whether all depreciation and amortizations are recorded in the appropriate period. For 6 months it has been calculated properly or not. For 1 year it has been calculated or not. This point is also very important. So we have discussed near about 7 point here. Now we are going to see on the next page. Let's see what have been discussed in next page. Same point here, here two more point is given. Ensure the part component of each item of PPE that are to be depreciated separately have been properly identified. There are different component you have studied in PGP chapter in tax, that ensure the part component of each item of PPE are to be depreciated separately have been properly identified. Whether the most appropriate depreciation method for each separately depreciable component have been used. Whether the most appropriate depreciation method, like most appropriate depreciation method, most of the entity follow SLM basis for each depreciable amount have been used. These 2 point is also very important. Total we have discussed 9 point. Now we are going to discuss here also in detail what the audit procedure what are the audit procedure used while verifying fixed asset and depreciation and amortization. Sorry guys. Right. First of all, you need to understand the entity process of charging depreciation and amortization. We have discussed already. Then you are asked fixed asset register from the management. There is always a risk that entity could capitalize expense of revenue nature to increase its profit, or charge capital expenditure directly in income and expense account to reduce its profit. Why entity charge depreciation in why entity capitalize depreciation to reduce its profits. To address this risk, the auditor may choose to check the nature of asset from fixed asset register, and further, there is a risk that fake asset have been capitalized in the book. And to mitigate this risk, auditor should physically verify the fixed asset, at least the ones that are material in value. Obtain a list of all addition, deletion along with the proper approval from the authorized person for the same. You need to ask fixed asset register from only the appropriate person, right? Whether there have been fake asset recorded or not, you need to physically verify it to mitigate the risks, right? And select the sample of asset from the fixed asset register. You need to on sampling basis you need to verify it, and on materiality consideration verify the rate, depreciation calculation. Each and every asset you are not going to check individually, so you need to check sample basis, and you need to consider materiality and verify for depreciation calculation. And you need to obtain a list of all the component identified by the management. You need to obtain a list of all the component identified by the management, right? Now we are going to discuss further. Ensure intangible asset like patent, goodwill, copyright have been properly amortized over the period. Like accounting standard 26, it deals with the intangible asset. Ensure depreciation is charged on asset from the date when it is ready to use and not from the date of actual usage. In PGBV, you have seen that depreciation is charged on asset from the date when it is ready to use, not from the date of actual usage, right? So this point is very important. For example, point of view, ensure depreciation on revalued amount have been properly accounted from revaluation reserve. Whether depreciation on revalued amount have been properly accounted from revaluation reserve or not, you have to ensure from this point. Depreciation computation as per Income Tax Act 1961. Ensure that addition are tallying with the addition as per Companies Act, and opening WDB to the tax audit schedule for the assessment year preceding the previous year under audit. Depreciation, there is separate act dealing with the depreciation. Depreciation deals with the Income Tax Act 1961. If there is any addition depreciation, opening WDB plus any addition minus closing WDB, you have read in PGB chapter. There is no brief discussion of PGB here. So you need to check this point also. Then you have to perform analytical procedure, which ESA deals with the analytical procedure, ESA 520, right? So perform analytical procedure to obtain audit evidence as to overall reasonableness of depreciation and amortization expense. Check the arithmetical accuracy of record and perform independent calculation. For example, recompute the depreciation expense for the year. You need to recompute the depreciation expense for the year below that could be used for compiling reasonability of the expenditure for the year. Then you need to ensure the depreciation and amortization have been charged as per useful life of PPA and intangible asset. Then you need to ensure that depreciation and amortization have been charged as per the useful life of PPA and intangible asset. Then you need to ensure the residual value have been properly verified as the impact the computation of depreciation. Ensure the depreciation value have been properly verified as the impact of the computation of depreciation. Then you need to ensure that the depreciation and amortization have been computed prospectively. Whether there is any change in useful life of PPA and intangible asset, there are two ways for charging depreciation and amortization, whether it is prospective nature or it's retrospective nature. You need to verify it if there is any change in the useful life of PPA and intangible asset also. What are the disclosure for depreciation and amortization that have to be properly appropriately made? First of all, you need to check accounting policy for depreciation and amortization. Then you need to see the useful life of asset as per Schedule 2 to the Companies Act 2013. Then you need to verify residual value of asset, and you need to check depreciation method, whether it is SLM or WDB. Thank you guys. This is your revision for verification of depreciation and amortization. Please do like the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you.